Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So last class we were introduced to the Mahavakya, right? Aham Brahmasmi, and meditation on that will bring us this knowledge. This was said. So there is something called Mahavakya Vishleshan, the analysis of a Mahavakya. See, you remember Mahavakya works in a mind which is like, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, a dried matchstick. You strike and it catches fire. What you should essentially know about the Mahavakya, see, I will give you the gist of this Mahavakya analysis, what they say. See, there are two words, Aham and Brahma, in the Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi, right? Now, when they are saying Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, here the I obviously cannot mean the Jiva, isn't it? So, you must not take the Vachyartha here, which means the literal meaning. You must take the Lakshartha, which is the implied meaning. What does I imply here?
Atman.
Yes, it implies not the Jiva, but the awakened consciousness. Yes, that which I indicates, that is being implied. So this is very, very important in order to understand this. It's like a formula, the Mahavakya. And Brahman is of course Brahman, the undifferentiated, undivided consciousness. So here the referent of I and Brahman is the same. It is the state of pure consciousness. So that when this is realized in meditation on the Mahavakya, you will experience the state of pure consciousness. So this is all, technically it is called the analysis of a Mahavakya. There are various steps to it. Like an intricate process it is. It's Samanadhikaranam and then all this removing the implied meaning. But essentially it means this. You take the implied meaning of the words I and Brahmavastu, the ultimate. They mean the same thing here. And by I is not meant the Jiva. By Brahma is not meant even Ishvara. Isn't it? So if you drop all upadhis, you will see that it is like E is equal to MC squared. The I is equal to Brahman, the pure I. The Atman is equal to Brahman. So all Mahavakyas are talking of the same thing. But wo Shukno Desh Lai, which Thakur used to say, it must be a dry matchstick so that it catches fire immediately. If your eye sense is kept completely pure and not attached to upadhis, then this Mahavakya will work like magic, obviously. So that's why I say in the early hours of dawn, when you are not yet identified with the confusion of your mind, try to practice this Mahavakya. The repetition of Mahavakya, think about its meaning, because as soon as you get up, you suddenly are not becoming the boss or the wife or the husband or you are as yet just becoming aware. So catch that sense of pure awareness in whatever measure you get it in your mind. And then think that this verily intensified, purified completely in all its fullness, this awareness itself is Brahman. This is the way you have to practice the Mahavakya. Remember, just by logic chopping, you will not get the experience of Brahman. You can convince your intellect, you can remove wrong ideas about yourself, about Brahman, but you cannot get the experience of Brahman. For that, mind should become crystal clear for that to happen. And then you introduce the Mahavakya, you will see the I which they are talking of is really the Atman, the self, not the Jiva, and that is equal to Brahman. So this is how the Mahavakya works. It is a very powerful technique. In fact, it directly gives knowledge, self-knowledge. It gives aparokshanubhuti. And it requires nothing else. If the disciple is ready, the utterance of the Mahavakya by the Guru will result in self-knowledge. This is how it is seen. Practically, for this to happen, you must practice all these techniques which he has given. Emptying mind, stopping the modifications of the mind, being able to note the presence of awareness in your mind. And if you are able to understand that awareness is more fundamental to my thought process, then you will naturally arrive at this. Another thing, please notice, you require awareness to validate the existence of anything. Do you require anything to validate the existence of awareness? Only because you are aware, you know something. You know the objects of this world, you know the workings of your mind. So nothing is required to validate awareness itself. That is why it is the most fundamental thing in existence. Are you getting the point? Consciousness, why do we say, see, today's panpsychism says this. David Chalmers. Today's panpsychists say this because they have understood in some way. Any way you think, no, you will come to consciousness as the ultimate substratum. Even physicists, so many physicists are coming to this. Quantum physics points to this. For the simple reason, awareness is the most fundamental fact about your existence. Yet awareness is fundamentally you, it is not yours. It is you. Anything else is yours. Your knowledge is yours. Knowledge of the object is yours. Object is yours. Awareness is not yours. Awareness is you. To catch this in the first person is meditation, Vedantic meditation. So we will practice some guided meditation later on. You must be able to catch it in, because see, if you are that, how can it escape your mind? Truth, you see, the nature of truth is, it is a corrosive substance. Ranganathaji Maharaj used to say this. It will corrode its way into your heart. What is true is ever true. You may think I am this or this and that and identified with all your upadhis, but they mean nothing ultimately. So that is a really valuable human life which has invested in the infinite. See, now let's go to the 14th shlok. Today we will finish this text because there are only 4 more mantras. Sa vikalpaka chidyoham brahmaikam nirvikalpakam swatha siddha vikalpaste nirodhavya prayatnataha sa vikalpa chit. The reflected consciousness with modifications. Ya aham, that I am. In the uninvestigated state, I am that. Brahma ekam, but really it is actually one with Brahman because it is reflection of Brahman, which is nirvikalpakam, which means undifferentiated. Te, these, vikalpa, which means modifications of mind, swatha siddha, they are self-evident, nirodhavya, have to be suppressed with all effort, prayatnataha. So the meaning is the reflected consciousness, though involved in the modifications of the intellect that I am now, is really one with the undifferentiated Brahman. The apparent modifications which are self-evident, being always associated with the reflected consciousness, have only to be suppressed by all efforts in order that this realization of Brahman may come. So again, the same thing which we have been discussing. Suppress the modifications of your mind in a perfectly conscious state. Not that you suppress it half-heartedly so that you fall asleep when there is no thought in the mind. No, not like that. See, with complete vitality you must do this in a perfectly conscious state. So if you do it when you are tired or well, as a routine you are doing it, you know, people make a timetable of tapas and do, it will not work. You must do it when the mind is fresh, very fresh and completely alert. You are alive to the depths of your being. And then you do it in a perfectly conscious state, you will come to these conclusions naturally. Go to 15th shlok. Shakya sarva nirodhas chet samadhir jnaninam priyaha tad tadashaktau kshanam rudva shraddheya brahmatatmanah. Shakya chet. One should be able to, in effect, sarva nirodha, suppress all the modifications of the mind. This is samadhi, where the dhi has become very steady. You see Shankaracharya recommending samadhi. Perfect concentration, where the dhi has become totally steady. And jnaninam priya, the state which all sages are, it is very dear to all the sages, the state of samadhi. Tat ashaktau, in case of your inability to do that all at once, then atmana brahmata shraddheya rudhva kshanam kshanam, which means then you must try to attain to this Brahmanhood by shraddha, with faith, and by controlling the modifications every moment. Then apply your shraddha and deep practice, control the modifications moment by moment, and you will come to this, he is saying. But if the mind is prepared, samadhi will come just like that. What is samadhi basically? It is deep absorption in the object of meditation. Such a level of absorption that you have become that. Not that you are meditating on that. See, when you meditate on the Atman as a light shining in your heart, it is still dhyan, isn't it? But samadhi is beyond dhyan. When your entire attention became riveted on that object, light or whatever, the feel of awareness, the sense of I, for more than 144 seconds, according to yogic I am giving you, then naturally you will become absorbed in that. You will see, I am this. Here knowing is only becoming, being and becoming. There is no knowing it as an object. A mind which has got the experience of samadhi will not move from it. If the mind is not purified of sanskars and one gets a glimpse of it, one may move away from it, but not otherwise. A mind which is to attain samadhi only, you require a great amount of not just concentration but stable mind, which means pure mind. So one experience of that, and you just know that is the ultimate thing about human life. And that is the sanest state of existence, because your awareness is in full bloom at that time. Rest of the time it is intermittent, reflected awareness. So how little of life will you experience with that kind of an awareness? That's why we don't like sometimes, our life. Because we have made ourselves too small and meager and too superficial. So when you have heightened awareness, see, all these terms are also not enough actually. When you have become full awareness, you will taste life to the fullest. And as long as it is intermittent and reflected awareness, it is a dim light which you are throwing upon objects, you will get a dim experience of things. So that is why the Samadhivan Purush, that is the one who has experienced these states, he knows the value of life. Life and consciousness are deeply connected, please understand. You cannot try to enhance life by diminishing consciousness, which is what most people are doing, like real idiots we are. How can you try to enhance life by diminishing consciousness? How do you diminish awareness? By going into drugs and drinks and all sorts of things. So minimal awareness, and you think that is the taste of life. That is just, it is impossible if you are half asleep to convince you are half asleep. You'll know that is only all right. We are like in a sleepwalking state. Minimal awareness is there, and through that we want to have a huge slice of life. You won't get it. You try what you may. All these addictions and things people indulge in, drinks, drugs, this nightlife, all this is only to enhance life. But they have missed the point, essential point. The light within you is itself covered. How much will it reveal of life? You will never experience anything beyond the hedonic treadmill, and with depression you will come back. But this has to be understood. See, only when you get a taste for the higher life, you understand that is the lower life. Until then, you won't understand also. So that is why, yoga should be an integral part of education. Right from childhood, you taste the higher life. Know that this is a possibility with you. Then naturally you will keep away from addictions, isn't it? In that book, Science of Happiness, I have given the neurophysiology of addiction. Please go through that and see how systematically it removes your energies and where it brings you. And you think, well, you're enhancing life. That's why, Shankaracharya calls us Bala. Like children. Half stupid, undeveloped, idiotic. We function like that. Without yoga and Vedanta, really we will remain like that. We grow old before we grow up. So that is why you see here the insistence is on Samadhi. Attain to that state which is very dear to the Jnanis. Isn't it? If you actually see the life of Jnanis, the great knowers of Brahman, see the life of Vivekananda, see the life of course, Thakur and Raman Maharshi, you will see for them Samadhi state was very, very the thing to achieve. And naturally, yes, the first time Sri Ramakrishna saw Narendranath, he said, he's a Dhyana Siddha. He didn't say he is Narendranath Datta, belongs to Datta family, son of a lawyer. He's a Dhyana Siddha. Mind is somewhere else. So at once he... So the whole point is this. This is the state actually coveted by all yogis, jnanis, everyone. Because it is the sanest state of existence, the most profound state of existence. Samadhi. But see, we pass through life without touching these aspects. What a pity. Only in human life you can get it. And after how many crore births? 84. Yes, crores of births, then you get a human life because of the evolutionary processes like that. Such a precious human life because you have an equipment which can transcend itself. You are the only creature on earth who walks erect. Everybody else is on fours. And chimpanzees and all, they can't completely erect, they can't walk for a long time. Only we can do. Why, You know why? Because our spinal cord is so made that your vital energies, your pranic energy can be raised high up. In animals, it is not possible because the spinal cord is not erect at all. Your spine alone is erect completely, and you can actually lift your energies. But still, if we prefer to live like animals after having got this equipment, so don't waste this precious human life. You can do so much with it. Infinite possibilities are there. How much we tap into, that is what matters. So this is the Shankaracharya telling us about the state of Samadhi for Brahmagyan. Then go to the next shlok. Shraddhalu brahmatam swasya chintayet buddhi vrittibhihi vakya vritya yatha shakti jnatva hyabhyasyatam sada. Shraddhalu, one imbued with faith, chintayet, he should meditate upon swasya brahmatam, his own Brahmanhood. Buddhi vrittibhihi, by means of all the faculties of his buddhi, his intellect. Jnatva he, which means having comprehended that truth, he indeed, Vakya Vritta, in terms of the teaching of the Mahavakya, I am Brahman, Abhyasyatam, he should practice. Sada, unremittingly, means continuously. Yatha Shakti, to the farthest limit of one's capacity. Having comprehended the real implication of the teaching I am Brahman, a person imbued with faith should meditate unremittingly upon his identity with Brahman to the fullest extent of his capacity by means of all the faculties of the intellect attuned to that idea. So once you have caught the analysis of the Mahavakya, you have understood the implied meaning, you feel the reality of it, then you meditate on it. Meditation is deepening knowledge, converting knowledge into wisdom. And then clearly you will understand, I am Brahman. I was never the Jiva. I can assume any identity, but I am not that identity. If you wear a mask, do you become that mask? You don't. But I thought I became the mask. That is my problem. So that thinking is being corrected by Vedanta. So it's a kind of dehypnotization. I thought I was the Jiva. Now I have understood I am not the Jiva. Then go to the next one. See, they are all connected, so we can go one by one. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam, tat paraspara bodhanam, etad eka paratvam cha brahmabhyasam vidur buddhaha. What should you do about this knowledge once you have grasped it? You must, Buddha, the wise ones, once they come to know of this, they practice this Brahmanhood. They practice their identity with Brahman. How? By tat chintanam, by meditation upon that. Tat kathanam, by discussion on that. Tat paraspara bodhanam, enlightening each other with their conversation. And etad eka paratvam, and cherishing this as the one supreme end of life. Knowing this to be the ultimate goal of life. So meditating upon that, talking on that, and enlightening mutually on that, and in a way getting oneself absorbed in that, all these together have been known and taught by the wise ones as constituting the practice of Brahman, knowing Brahman. Yes, this is there even in the Bhakti Shastras, no? You must talk of God rather than talking of other things. Talk of the nature of God, talk about the love of God, and discuss that. Especially in these ashrams and retreats, you see, that should be the topic of discussion. How do I deepen my inner life? And then establishing yourself in that through meditation, through inquiry, through analysis. These are the practical means. See, you remember one thing, speech is a very, very important thing in the Vedantic life, because it is the means to Shravan. Whatever you speak will impact your mind. It will generate the vrittis in your mind. If you say something which you don't mean, your mind gets confused. That kind of mind can't reach the truth. So speech is very important. If you constantly are talking about the Shastra or Bhakti, your mind will become like that. So such a easy means, you see. It is a sadhana. So daily, please see how much time we waste on. Now our purpose is to control the vrittis, isn't it? How much time are we wasting in unnecessary speech? As sadhaks, all this becomes important. See, we don't tell this to our teachers in the school, in our schools and all that. But as sadhaks, this is important, isn't it? When you are doing sadhana, you must limit your words to the reality you know. And you must discuss only this as far as possible. In a family, if you bring this, you know, everyone will get that sanskar again and again, especially your children, grandchildren. Such a huge gain. But no, we won't do this. We will talk politics. Okay, all that is important because you are living in a society, but not beyond a certain measure. Otherwise, that will start dominating your mind. So let us make this a habit. Not that only in Pangot retreat we will do Shastra Charcha, we will do it even in our homes. We will do it wherever we are. We will make it part of our life. One day, if you don't do this, if you don't think of reality, you must feel bad. Isn't it? You must feel कि किसमें मैंने समय गवाया. So once you start making all this a habit, you will actually be in satsang. Thakur says, Mone bone kone. So bone, if you can, this 1 week you can go into the forest and be there in stillness. Then you have to make peace with your mind and you find a kone, a place at home where you can live like that. You have to do this because otherwise, the samuhik vrittis will blow you away. Yes. For sadhana, all this is important. You see, we are not going to give all this discussion and teaching to just everyone. It is for sadhaks who are yearning for a higher goal. Then this becomes very important. And one of the best ways to do satsang is keep company with good books. Look at the amount of wonderful literature even in this library. You take any book of Chetananand Maharaj and take it and read it. You will be in satsang automatically. You will be close to God. So every day, please practice this. Half an hour you can spend a day reading good books. If you are spending 2 hours on the newspaper, and what's the point? Huh? So like this, satsang has to be kept up so that our mental vrittis are at a particular level. Then only all this will be possible, isn't it? So consciously make an effort at it, and whatever work we are doing, if you make it an offering at the feet of the Lord, automatically it will become karma yoga. Selflessly you are doing it, as a form of worship you are doing it. You are offering it to the Lord. So it becomes karma yoga automatic. Somehow you should connect it to the divine. Otherwise, what is the point? So much energy is being expended. Towards what? So this is how step by step we bring about transformation of our life. Remember, there are 3 steps in spiritual life. Practically, I am telling you, this is what works. This is given by Swami Bhajananand Ji, a great monk of our order, and he is the vice president currently. Yes. He has given these 3 steps in his editorials. The first step is stopping the struggle for the existence of the ego. Because it is not necessary to defend the ego, because you are not that. Stopping the struggle for the existence of the ego is the first step, which means unnecessary quarrels, arguments, fights, this manomalinya, all this is not required at all. Just focus on the goal. Second is transformation of your consciousness through sadhana. A body-based life or a mind engaged just in sensual things doesn't befit you. You must turn inward in such a way the real nature of things is revealed to you. And this body and mind is your instrument to function effectively in this world. You must take it like that. But to be simply identified with this and that and live a life of complete identification with something you are not, doesn't become of us. So second thing is a transformation in your consciousness, of your consciousness. You are not simply body conscious. You are not simply even obstinately sticking to one idea. No, you are in search of the truth. And you will invest in the inner life for whatever is required for that. So many of our devotees are doing that. And then the third step is transcendence. transcendence ultimately even from your mind and ego. These are the 3 steps of spiritual life. You can know the nature of God, Brahman, only through transcendence, through samadhi, such states. So this is the goal for all of us. And wherever we are placed, we can practice this, isn't it? Sri Ramakrishna has shown us. Only you have to adopt certain basic fundamental things in your life and live a life of sadhana. Wherever you are placed, you can do it. So this is the way in which those who yearn for Brahma Vidya attain to it. They follow these methods. The last shloka. Dehatmadhi dhivat brahmatmadhi dadhye krita krityata yada tadayam riyatam mukto asau natra samshayah. Brahmatmadhi dadhe, which means unwavering firmness in the thought of one's identity with Brahman. So in Brahmatma, the dhi is steady. That's the meaning. The dhi, the faculty of your higher intelligence, is steady in the oneness of Atman and Brahman. And dehatma dhivat, like how for the ordinary man, the thought of his identity with the body is very steady. Like that. Krita krityata. And the fulfillment, one who has attained to this state, he is mukta, liberation is there always. Na samshaya atra. In this there is no doubt. And yada tada, when and where, ayam riyatam, wherever he may die, he becomes liberated. When one attains to knowledge, one becomes liberated. He may die anywhere, anyhow, but he will be liberated. So the meaning is, consummation of this practice lies in the firm conviction of one's identity with Brahman. Like what conviction is normally there in the sense of identity of the self with the body. One who has realized this is liberated indeed, without a doubt. His body may then drop off anytime, anywhere. But he will retain that state of liberation. Knowledge leads to liberation. That is the point. No, nothing else but knowledge. In the Kashi Khand, it is so beautifully put that what is called Kashi is actually the space that illumines your heart due to the presence of the Atman. It is put like this, very beautifully. When you have realized the true self that you are, wherever you die, you will be liberated. You will in fact become a Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated while living. Vedanta does not talk of post-mortem liberation. There are some people who say that after death it will happen. No, why here only you can live like that if the mind is liberated? Liberation is in the mind, isn't it? Mind can be bound, mind can be liberated. And it is only in the mind. So take care of your mind. Take care of the mind means the food you give the mind, the sanskars that are forming there, the spiritual practices, their impact there, the sangha you keep, its impact on the mind. Take care of all these factors and you will grow spiritually. So understanding the identity of this self with the supreme reality of life, you don't have to make an effort to get that knowledge. Enter the state of samadhi, you will get it. Because it is the truth about your being. You are Brahman, whether you know it or not. You may say, no, I am such and such a person. Only for a few years you may act as such and such a person. But your real identity is always that you are Brahman. You are the pure awareness which illumines the mind and gives you a sense of ego as a result, which identifies with objects. and you claim I am this and that. You are only that light. You are not even the mind, not even the body. You are wearing this. So it matters, you see, when you are wearing something, if there's a patch on your cloth, you feel concerned, isn't it? Like that, if there is some disturbance in the body, you will feel concerned. But you are not identified with it, absolutely. It is not your identity. You are wearing it. So take it like that and search for the self, the knowledge of Brahman, which you already are. The great thing about Vedanta is the goal is already there. So it's not exactly a journey in space or time, because the goal is already there before you even asked for it. There's this beautiful saying of Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi. He said, I knocked and the door opened, and then I realized I was knocking from within. You are already the self which is trying to find the self. So just you soak yourself up with these ideas, dwell upon them and carry them to your homes. Keep the study alive. Don't let it not finish with Pangot trip. Keep it alive in your mind. That's the essential thing. We will stop it here, today's. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.